I'm here to talk about Marimo. Python notebooks are better now. It's maybe a little contentious, but there's a lot Marimo can do, and I kind of want to get into it. So to start, this is can anyone tell me, bit of a quiz, what is the result of the third cell if I run it again? Just shout it out. Anyone?
Hard to see.
Oh, OK. Whoops. Whoa. If you can't see, that's not good either. But it says a plus b, a equals 1, b equals 2. And then, of course, if you do them, it equals 12. Right? This is a classic Jupyter issue. Jupyter's a great project, but it's got all this hidden state. You have no way of determining what's going on. So yeah, like you said, someone sends you a notebook. You're like, oh, no. So this is a great meme. The whole thesis of this conference is shipping AI to production. And if someone hands you a Jupyter notebook, you might die a little inside if they said, get this in production. Jupyter is a great tool, but it's the more you start to mess around, you're like, oh, I like these visualizations. And then you kind of run into that issue we were talking about before. You suddenly have a million untitled things. You have Git diffs that are awful. And they're not very reproducible for all their issues. So Marimo kind of tries to address exactly some of those problems. So this is that example again. We have a. If I try and do a equals 2 here, we get an error. So this is a very classic Jupyter thing. And this is something that people automatically say, what? I love doing this in Jupyter. But the reason you can't do it is because if we have 2 definitions of a, then how can we resolve what's real, right? The trick behind Marimo is that behind the scenes, we're building a graph of your compute. We're building a pipeline for your data flow as you're typing, so you don't end up with these cycles. You don't end up with that hidden case that we saw before. I can delete this, and everything's back to normal. The other thing about this is because we can reliably and deterministically run parts of our DAG, it means I have things like sliders. So if I have a slider here, you can see the value automatically updates. I can say plus a, and then I can change a to 100, or 1,000 rather, and it just updates, right? So this might be a little weird. You might be like, I'm not sure I fully like this. I have really expensive run times. Well, you can change it to lazy mode such that you're still in that I want to explicitly run every single thing. So this is that kind of that still you saw earlier, but now it's interactive, right? So you can start to imagine more than just your standard idea of a notebook. Here, I've made a selection, and from that selection, we can directly extract the data that's in the plot. So this is MNIST. You can see that I'm selecting my zeros down below. Oh, look, this green section seems to be 6 in whatever this embedding is. So yeah, I don't know, it's fun. You get to dream a little. You get to stop thinking, oh, I'm not going to be reproducible, and start thinking, wow, this is fun. So just to kind of drive it home, this notebook is just Python, right? So if you are familiar with UV, Sandy gave a great talk earlier. UV is able to package all of your dependencies. And with that, resolve them in such a way that you have reproducibility when you run this as a script. That's great. Because it's just Python, it means that I can throw this at Claude. Claude loves Python. That's great. It means that I can throw this at Ty or Pyrite. And I get linting in addition to just having code, right? We're going from that kind of notebook realm to actual software development. All right. So yeah, just nailing that home. Oh, pytest runs on it. That's fun. What else? You can import from a notebook a different function. That's fun. So anything you can do with Python, we're here because we love Python, right? Python is very flexible, does great things. All the reasons you love Python are the reasons you love Marimo, or at least we hope. Anyway, maybe it's still a little like too magic, but if you use Excel, same idea, right? You update one cell, everything updates. And but I'm not here primarily to make a sales call. I guess this has kind of been more of like a pitch than anything. We are FOSS, right? So you can go give us a star on GitHub. You can go ahead and download it, mess around with it yourself. UVX Marimo tutorial intro will automatically spin it up. Like, we really do love UV. But yeah, the original scope of this talk was going to be reinforcement learning fine-tuning, specifically for some of the agents that we have in Marimo. because I realized this was a lightning talk, I decided that's maybe not as punchy as some of the other stuff we can do. So let's drop in. Oh, by the way, these were these slides were in Marimo as well. So yeah, that's how I had the iframe and everything. We do have agents built in, so we have this sidebar, and I can go ahead and just like go. I can interact with the notebook, kind of taking ideas from cursor there. But the really cool stuff, or at least stuff I think is really cool. Oh, and a VS Code extension. I promised I'd show someone that. But the really cool stuff, or the stuff I think at least is really cool, is let's go ahead and bring this back and tell Claude that like I said, I cannot talk and type in front of a cloud very easily. But anyway, that says, hey, PyAI, right? And in theory, you can see I did do a little compaction before because I wanted to make sure this worked. But in theory, with that code mode ethos, we've given Claude the tools to directly invoke things in Marimo. So the same way that you can click around, Claude can directly go in and, oh man, OK, can directly go in and start messing around and playing with the data and playing with great, you're in plan mode. You are no longer OK. So there we go. You can say, hey, PyAI. So this is something that we're releasing that we're going to call Marimo pair, right? So really, that code mode ethos, we've really pushed it really far. So Claude making its own selections and that plot I showed you, very exciting. But because we can dream about notebooks again, what if you aren't there? What if instead of having Claude and you working on a notebook, Claude can kind of work on a notebook by itself? So that's kind of the idea here. As Claude, hey, what are the surf conditions in Santa Cruz like today? I like surfing. Maybe I'll get a sunset surfing. Probably not, because I'll be at the mixer, and you can catch me there if you want to ask me questions. But you can see it successfully loaded a skill. And from that skill, I don't know, it's saying tool loaded multiple times. It's going to go ahead and invoke a MCP. It's getting a list of functions it could call. It's doing lots of stuff. I guess everything's kind of scaled out at this view. But eventually, if my internet is good enough, and yeah, we'll see. My internet's been awful all day. Claude says the surf conditions are 7 out of 10, right? And why am I showing you this thing about surf conditions? Well, skills are just markdown, but Marimo files can just be marked down as well. So the skill that Claude just loaded is also a Marimo file. So you can see that exactly here. Where I have my description, I tell Claude what we can use. I describe exactly what's going on, and then I lay out this Marimo's markdown format. I'll lay out the functions such that when we have a hook that loads the skill, Claude can immediately invoke those. So just to kind of drive that home, this is that same surf forecast skill. So yeah, with that, you're hiring. I can take questions. I think I've got a minute left. And we'll put the skill up eventually, but we have a bunch of other skills if you want stuff. So yeah, I guess you're doing questions.
Have you thought about making the data flow graph and editor itself?
Yeah, we've looked into it. We've thought about it. I think there are a couple other notebook competitors that do something similar. In my experience, it was kind of annoying. One thing we can do, and maybe if I have time for more demos, I don't know. Not really a demo. You can do grid mode, right? And grid mode means that, oh, I don't want, there's no reason that things have to be in order anymore, right? Because it's just a graph. So you can just start clicking and dragging and organizing things. And then people use this kind of as a Streamlit alternative as well. But yeah, it would be exactly the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely something we've hacked around with. Nothing that's made it into open source yet. But I'll also tell my former CTO because that was his pet project. So, yeah.
Pretty cool set of feature. I think we're going to try it out tonight. We started using NVIDIA from Jeremy Howard.
Yeah.
With that. Probably because our Git blew up, and so he solved that problem, but he had to run NVIDIA clean and before committing.
Yep.
So what is the equivalent feature to manage that Git blow up?
Yeah, so I mean, we don't have Git blowup because we don't check in all that data that the Jupyter produces, right? What we do is we have a little separate underscore marimo. Let me see if I can find one of them. We have a separate sessions folder here, which is a bunch of different. You probably can't see that, but it's basically this .py.json is basically a reinvention of IPYMBs, and you can check them into whatever data source or data store you have, and then we have tools to kind of merge the two such that you still have the artifact you can look at, but let's keep code is kind of our thesis.
So putting this in Git will not make.
Yeah, putting your basic Marimo notebooks in Git will not cause an issue. And then if you want to do an HTML export or PDF export or something, that's an artifact that can live outside of source control.
So I'm part of the original Jupyter team, and Marimo is my daily driver now, and has been for almost a year. There's so much great stuff, and it's on the sides, which I think gets out of your way when you don't want it, and you can bring it in when you do want it. The fact that it's a .py file makes it much easier to put in production if you need to. So, not to say that I don't love, Jupyter Hub and Finder and the things that I built there, but I think there's a place for both to coexist, and I think the converters and stuff that Akshay and you guys have been working on, it's been really helpful.
Thank you, Carol. That's a lot. Heartfelt words. Yeah, much appreciated.
And Vincent's videos are.
Oh yeah, if you, I don't know, Vincent. Honestly, I'm not into shorts, but Vincent's YouTube and shorts are kind of making me scroll a little.
I did an analysis. This was probably 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Shorts in a Marimo notebook about the adoption of the views, and he's got many more views on the shorts.
Yeah. So we can talk after, but part of it is that shorts loop, right? So if you watch too long, then your metrics get skewed. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's good stuff. Definitely try it if you haven't tried it.
Yeah. Oops.
Sorry, I have a question about a feature that you actually didn't demo here.
Okay.
You have a feature which is in-cell context, working with models, right? So
yeah, that's a good one.
I'm going to chalk it up to we implemented it incorrectly probably, and we saw really slow performance. What is the recommended way that we use that feature?
Yeah. So in Marimo in particular?
Yeah.
I'd be curious. So the feature. Sorry, what's your name?
Chris.
The feature that Chris is talking about is that you can @ a variable. I don't know why you can't plus. You can @ a variable within your oops, that's a styling bug. But you can add a variable in your notebook. So you're like, here's my data frame. What's in it? What's going on? And in theory, it can go ahead and give you a response. If it was slow for you, how this works under the hood is that we look at the variable. If it's a data frame or something, then we'll do a top 10 or something, and then embed that just as context directly into the prompt we're sending up. So there's a chance there might just be a bug there that you're passing in some large data blob, and it's not summarizing it properly. It's just sending over a ton of data, and your LLM has no idea what to do with it, which is reasonable. So yeah, if you open up an issue or can tell us the data type, we can definitely look into that. So yeah, terminal is a function, blah, blah, blah. So yeah.
Please. Yeah. I'm wondering if Marimo is used. You had that first slide where it's someone gives you a Jupyter notebook, and as an engineer you have to productionize it.
Yeah.
Is there any? Have you thought? Does Marimo yet solve that problem? Can someone give me
Yeah, I mean, it's if someone gives you a fully like linted Python script, then yes, right? It's pretty much the same. So if you actually look at one of our, oh my gosh, I should have had something on hand. All right. If you look at some of our examples, the only difference is that there's an app.cell decorator, but you can expose functions top level, which means that you can do from my Marino notebook, import this function, and then it drops all Marimo stuff. It's just that raw function. So yeah, in terms of productionizing it, it's definitely doable.
That's awesome. Let's thank our speaker again.